My dear brothers and sisters, Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, in one beautiful hadith, he sends a message to his followers, to his Shia, to those people who follow him, those people who consider him their Imam, their own leader. The Imam alayhi salam says, "Alaykum bil wara'i wal ijtihad." Always maintain piety, but your maximum piety. Do your best to be pious. See, my dear brothers and sisters, traditionally, many of us who call ourselves the Shia, the word Shia means the follower. Literally, it means the follower. So, many of us call ourselves Shia without fully understanding what does the word Shia mean. The Imam alayhi salam says that in order to be true Shia, it is not enough just to claim that we follow Ahlul Bayt. He says, "Alaykum bil wara'." Always be pious, maintain piety. Wal ijtihad, do your best in doing good deed. وَصِدْقِ الْحَدِيثِ, always be honest. Always tell the truth. Do not speak the truth only when it is convenient. Some people speak the truth only when it is convenient. And when it is not convenient, they don't embrace the truth. The Imam says, speak the truth all the time. Whether when it is convenient personally, and even if it's not convenient personally, also speak the truth. Another hadith says, قُلِ الْحَقِّ وَلَوْ عَلَى نَفْسِكَ. Always speak the truth, even if the truth stands against your own personal interest. Always embrace the truth. By embracing truth, you can say, I'm a Shia of Ahlul Bayt. I'm a follower of Ahlul Bayt. But by saying I'm a follower of Ahlul Bayt, yet I lie, Imam Zayn al-Abidin says this is not a true Shia. وَصِدْقِ الْحَدِيثِ, always be honest. Always tell the truth. Don't be biased. Even with your own enemies, always be fair and tell the truth. They tell you, what do you think about X? You don't like X. You personally don't like it. But don't lie. They ask you about X, say X is this and that. Don't add anything from yourself. Speak the truth. Don't let your personal hatred motivate you to lie about your enemy or about those whom you do not like. Always be honest and always speak the truth. And always tell the truth. When an enemy of the Imam alayhi salam, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, who he did something bad and then he ran away. He went to Muawiyah. A few years later, he came back to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib because he had a fight over a property that belongs to him. Someone took his property away, not the Imam. So he came to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, complaining to the Imam. So the Imam alayhi salam says, did you forget what you did? Did you forget the bad thing you did? He says, no, I did not. I know I insulted you, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. ولكن أَوَيَمْنَعُنِي ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَدْلِكَ يَا أَمِيرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Whatever I have done to you, whatever bad I have done to you, would that deprive me from your justice, from you being just with me? قال لا يمنعني ذلك من العدل. No matter how you feel about me, I still will be fair with you. The Imam alayhi salam looks into his issue and he finds out that his property, this man's property, was taken away unjustly. The Imam says, give him his own land. Give him his own property. He may not feel positive about Imam Ali. He may have criticized Imam Ali, but Imam Ali says, him criticizing me would not steer me away from being just, even with my enemy, even with someone who doesn't have so much passion for Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is a lesson, my dear brothers and sisters, that we need to be always fair. Even with those whom we disagree, always be fair. And tell the truth. Be objective. Do not twist the truth to be convenient, to serve your personal interest. وصدق الحديث وأداء الأمانة إلى من ائتمنكم عليها برا كان أو فاجرا. Be trustworthy with Muslims and non-Muslims, with the believers and non-believers, with those people who are good and committed to their faith and those who are loose. It doesn't matter. Always be a trustworthy person. Don't say, you know what, this guy, you know, he's a Jew. I need to loot him. I need to, you know, take what it belongs to him because he's a Jew or he is a Christian. This is not a justification. Whether other people are Muslims or Jews or Christians or atheists, we are always have the obligation to be trustworthy, not to betray the trust people have invested in us. Always be a trustworthy person, regardless who you are dealing with. Whether those you're dealing with are Muslims or non-Muslims. Then the Imam says something so powerful. He says, فَلَوْ أَنَّ قَاتِلَ عَلِيِّ بْنَ أَبِي طَالِبٍ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ ائْتَمَنَنِي عَلَى أَمَانَةٍ لَأَدَّيْتُهَا إِلَيْهِ. Imam Zain al-Abidin says, if the murderer of Imam Ali alayhi salam, my grandfather, would give me a trust, leave a trust with me, and then he claims his trust afterward, I will give it back to him. I will not say, you know what, this is the murderer of Imam Ali. Who he is. He has no regard, he has no respect. I can take his personal belonging. No. Be trustworthy, even with the murderer of Imam Ali alayhi salam. In another hadith, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam says, فَلَوْ أَنَّ قَاتِلْ والدي الحسين ائتمنني على السيف الذي قتل به والدي الحسين لأعدته إليه. He says, if the murderer of my own father, Hussein, if he leaves the sword with which he killed my father with, he leaves it with me as a trust, as an amana, I will turn it back to him. Because being trustworthy is an important characteristics for the Shia, for the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. My dear brothers and sisters, before I conclude, I would like to address a few urgent issues, and then I will conclude the khutbah. The first thing is, yesterday, the President of the United States called Prime Minister Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, to congratulate him for being re-elected. Yet, the President of the United States took a bold step, and it was in the news, that if Israel is going to back up from its formal commitment to two-state solution, the United States will no longer support Israel in the United Nations. This takes so much courage, believe me, to say that to Netanyahu. To tell Netanyahu that the United States will reassess its relations with Israel, this will take so much courage by the president. When he has, unfortunately, so many congressmen and women and senators clapping for Netanyahu at the Congress, cheering him up, for the president to be bold enough to come and say, we are willing to reassess our relationship with Israel, that's a bold step by the president. And he deserved to be commended for that. And it shows that at least there is someone in this country who is willing to stand up for that bullying guy, Netanyahu. And Netanyahu should not think that it is a free ride. He comes to the United States, he speaks at the Congress, and he is being cheered up, and no one can tell that he is here to divide our nation. He is here to secure his own interest, and he doesn't care about the interests of American people. So honestly, I was very impressed to see the president standing up for Netanyahu, telling him that we are willing to reassess our relationship with Israel if you continue your defiance to the international community. I believe this is the first time ever an American president is showing the courage to stand up for an Israeli prime minister, to speak the truth in his face and not to be intimidated by him. This is the very first time I have ever remembered an American president not succumbing to the pressure by the Israeli politician. Also, my dear brothers and sisters, there were 2 attacks yesterday and today in Tunis and in Yemen by ISIS. Yesterday in Tunis, ISIS attacked the National Museum of Tunis, killing so many people. Today in Yemen, in Sana'a, ISIS attacked 2 masjid in Sana'a, killing over 137 worshippers. People who went to the masjid to pray, to show their obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have some spiritual time. These people were killed and murdered with cold blood. This shows that ISIS has no regard to anything. It has no regard to human life. It has no regard to the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They carry out their attacks in a masjid, the house of Allah. Against who? It wasn't against people who were gathering to have a party or to drink. They were gathering to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in such a holy day and Friday. They were killed. Among them, there is a well-respected leader and alim, al-allama al-sayyid al-mahturi. He was killed in this attack, along with so many innocent people. My dear brothers and sisters, we Muslims need to speak up. We need to tell the world that ISIS does not represent Islam. They do not represent Sunni or Shia. They do not represent our faith. They are nothing but a bunch of terrorists who are aimed at killing innocent people. Indeed, they have killed more non-Muslims than Muslims. Those who were killed today in the masjid in Yemen, 137 people, they were all Muslims. They were devout Muslims. They were worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inside the masjid. And instead of respecting a masjid, you know, in Islam, you're not allowed to stain a masjid with 1 drop of blood. If you see 1 drop of blood in the masjid, you have a responsibility no matter who you are. You're a sheikh, a sayyid, a doctor, a professor. It doesn't matter who you are. You must go immediately and clean that spot in the masjid. These people are shedding the rivers of blood in the masjid, in the house of Allah, in the name of Allah, in the name of Islam. And you know who is going to pay the price? It is our religion. It is our faith. Yesterday I was watching CNN. 78%, down from 48 in June, last June. 78% of American people believe that ISIS and their ideology is a danger not only to the Middle East, but also to the United States and for the rest of the world. So my dear brothers and sisters, who is paying the price for that? Watch Fox News. If you have the mood, if you have the ability, if you have the nerve to do that, watch Fox News and see how Fox News always accuses Islam and Muslims and make Islam the victim for these attacks and for these crimes committed by ISIS and Al-Qaeda. It is so disappointing to see our faith always paying the price for these crimes committed by these people. And finally, my dear brothers and sisters, the Islamic Center of America's Board of Trustees, the brothers at the Islamic Center's Board of Trustees, sent me 2 weeks ago a letter asking me to go back to the Islamic Center. However, they are asking that I would, in order for me to be able to go back to the Islamic Center, I need to sign a contract with them. I replied. 2 days ago, I replied to our brothers at the Islamic Center Board of Trustees. I thank them for their offer, and I thank them for their sincerity expressed in the letter. However, I told our brothers at the Islamic Center of America and their board that the problems I was having while I was at the Islamic Center was not over a contract. We had so many problems and difficulties and challenges, lingering problems that continued for over 18 years. And there was no real attempt to solve these problems. So it is not the contract the issue. The issue is reforms. Most of you have heard the chairman of the Islamic Center, Brother Ron Ayman, on January 30th, telling over 1,000 people, promising them that there will be reforms at the Islamic Center. There will be term limit, age limit. The board of Islamic Center will be reduced. There will be new blood coming to the board. There will be changes, serious changes. The Imam of the Islamic Center is giving a little room, space to move, to have the ability to conduct his job as the religious leader. We all heard him saying that. What are these promises? We need to see these promises being implemented. We need these reforms being implemented. Once these reforms that have been long promised to be implemented, then, inshallah, I will go back. I look forward to going back and serving our community there. But my dear brothers and sisters, we should not be emotional over these issues. There are lingering issues, acute problems that continued for decades at the Islamic Center. We all love the Islamic Center. You all love the Islamic Center. I love the Islamic Center. It is our center. You built the center. You built the center. With all due respect to the Board of Trustees, I know many of them have contributed generously toward the Islamic Center, but in the end, it is the community that built the Islamic Center. It is you who built the Islamic Center. We love the Islamic Center. And because we love the Islamic Center, we're trying to protect the interests of the Islamic Center. It is not about my personal interest, my dear brothers and sisters. If it was a personal issue, no problem. I go back. But it is more than a personal issue. Let me give you one simple example. Last Sunday, the board at the Islamic Center of America met, the brothers there met, to vote on a new motion presented by the chairman, Ron Ayman, God bless him. The motion was to set age limit for board members, that any board member who served for 75 years Then after 75 years, they take a break. They are honored, they are respected. There will be an advisory committee and board for them that they can advise, but they no longer can be in charge because, you know, age takes its toll on us. 75 years. Ya ammi, even Qaddafi in Libya was removed. Saddam was removed. Who else? Hosni Mubarak, after 30 years, he stepped back. He stepped down. People need to allow others to help. I should not stick to the one position for 40 years, 50 years, not allowing others to serve. I need to allow others also to serve. So, guess what happened? The motion, they voted on the motion, and it did not pass. It did not pass. It failed, unfortunately. And the message is, what is the message? I'm asking you, my dear brothers and sisters. When the board is refusing to pass a motion as simple as that a board member, no matter how good, how sincere, how hardworking he is, when he gets 75, he needs to step down and allow others, allow a young generation, allow a new blood to infuse. It was turned down. It was voted down. So I really hope that the brothers at the Islamic Center would reconsider their position, would put the interest of the Islamic Center before their own personal interest. I'm not trying to, God forbid, bash anyone. I have utmost respect for the vast majority of those board members of the Islamic Center. I know many of them are hardworking people, sincere, people who put so much time and wealth and effort to help the Islamic Center. But that does not mean, my dear brothers and sisters, we own the Islamic Center. No one owns the Islamic Center other than Allah and the community. No one can claim ownership on any center, on any masjid. وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ. Allah says masajid belong to Allah. It does not belong to Qazwini. It does not belong to Samahat al-Sayyid al-Shara. It does not belong to any individual. Masajid belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we, whether ulama or board of trustees, we are supposed to be servant of these masajid. And we need to be servant of our community, not the other way around. We need to serve the community. We should not let the community and the Islamic Center serves us and serve our interest. We have to serve the center. We have to serve the community. That is the purpose of me being a board member or me being an imam at a center, to serve Allah and serve the community, and not to expect the other way around, that the community would serve me, the masjid would serve me, and I would stick to my seat no matter what.